8.5 years ago, right after being released from the hospital, from ICU, after a very major stroke, I realized that many of my doctors were either indoctrinated or misinformed, but it's actually taken me this long to prove them wrong. So let me tell you what happened 8.5 years ago and what happened in January. Medical proof that your body can heal itself. Okay, on about I think it was August the 16th, I had a major stroke. 4 nights later, I was released from the ICU and then walked out under my own strength with zero deficits, which most of you know that. What you may not know is what happened next, or what happened while I was in there, is that they found I had a fully occluded right internal carotid artery. So the next step is to go meet with the vascular surgeons at the teaching hospital so they can tell me what needs to happen now. So let me do a little bit of role play. Here I am waiting in the exam room for the vascular surgeon, really a resident or an intern, probably a resident, to come in and tell me, what the surgeon has decided. So, hello, doctor. What's the good news? Well, well, we've really decided that we need to cut open your neck, which my right internal it goes up to your eye, I think, so it's probably right about here. So they want to slit my neck, then open up the artery, then scrape it out. So, whoa, back up here. You're talking about making me Frankenstein? You want to cut my neck open, scrape it out, then what? You're going to sew the artery back up, or you're going to put it in a sleeve, or what? And then put me a big scar on my neck? No. I think my response was probably, hell no. And later, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I took a course from Dr. Benjamin Hardy, an organizational psychologist, that said the best way to live your life is if you're presented with an opportunity and it's not a yes, then it's a hell no, which apparently I knew that 8.5 years ago, even though I only took the course maybe 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, that was my response, hell no. So, and then within the last, I guess, 4 or 5 years, I found Dr. Mabry, who was a carnivore doctor. Well, let me back up just a little bit. Vascular surgeon and I came to an agreement that I was not going to have the surgery and that I would get a carotid Doppler done annually to make sure that this side wasn't closing down, because the way it works is you have a big artery on either side that comes from your heart, and then it forks. So you have an internal and an external carotid artery on each side. So four ways to get blood to your brain. And if one of them is shut off, then I guess you have 3. So that basically means I'm at a 25% deficit of getting blood to my brain, is my way of interpreting. That may not be the medical way, because they said I had already built alternative circulation, which I don't know if that means it's going up the other one or that my body actually built a new artery around the blockage. But they never happened to find that, it seems, in these carotid Dopplers. So I've been having those for 8 years, 9 years, I guess. Well, no, probably 8. I don't know. I had one almost immediately after leaving the hospital, and I've had one about every year since then. So I know that cutting my neck open is not the only answer, and I'm going to find the other answer. So then in probably about the pandemic, so 2020, I found Dr. Mabry. Maybe it was 2019. It was 2019, because I had started carnivore at that time, and I was looking for a carnivore doctor. And when I asked him about it, he was like, well, I'd definitely get a second opinion, or either just use food as medicine. So there's a doctor with some common sense that's not indoctrinated. That's why I say, are most doctors indoctrinated? But I didn't want to title this Lies My Doctor Told Me, because Dr. Ken Berry wrote a book, Lies Your Doctor Told Me. And I do actually trust some medical doctors. Many are just way behind in the research they choose to So they choose to stay misinformed. There is evidence out there, and there's more and more literature coming out every day. Let me get to that in a moment. So now I've got a dilemma. Do I go AMA against my surgeon's advice, or do I take the medical advice of Dr. Mabry? Obviously, so I didn't fully go AMA, which is against medical advice, but I got a second opinion and went with that. Even though he's not a surgeon, he knows the benefits of the carnivore diet, which, let me explain that. That is just eating meat. Any kind of animal product, so shrimp, seafood, chicken, fish, pork, lamb, bison, deer, whatever, bear, if you can get that. I don't think I've ever eaten bear. Rabbit, whatever you want to eat. Eggs, butter, cream, probably not ice cream. They add a lot of sugar to that, but that technically is an animal product. Sort of. It started from one. So anyway, let me introduce myself while we take a little break here. I'm Chip. This is CP59 Fit Unconventional Healthy Living Strategies. I am an 8.5-year stroke survivor with an exciting announcement. So I might as well give you the announcement now, and then I'll tell you how I got to this medical breakthrough. As I've already explained, I had a fully occluded internal right carotid artery. Now, try to say that 8 times fast. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. No, don't take the time to do it now. But anyway, it is now not fully occluded. So what did I do? Okay, you see, I don't have a scar here. I have not been under anesthesia, so I did not choose the surgery option. But probably 6 years ago, I found the Low Carb Down Under channel on YouTube. And Dr. Eric Westman was the one giving the talk, who is a associate professor and medical researcher who runs the keto clinic at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. He was giving a talk about keto, so of course I thought, well, I can give keto a try, which means that I was able to eat some vegetables, but the low carb vegetables. And then from that, I kind of did more study, did more digging, and found this term called carnivore, which apparently Dr. Sean Baker kind of, I hate to say created, but I guess he named this way of eating after he wrote a book about it. And I have actually met him now. And he's almost my age, but a whole lot bigger. I don't know that it's my goal to get to his size muscularly, but he's a good example of what can happen. But I shouldn't have brought him up yet because I transitioned to a crazy kind of internet keto, which talks about eating sticks of butter and stuff like that. You don't have to do all that nonsense. But then eventually I found carnivore, probably 2018, so 3 or 4 years after the stroke. But I was still eating deep fried foods like fried chicken, probably a little bit of keto in there with onion rings and french fries. But that's not a good way to do carnivore. That's actually cheating, or you could say keto maybe. But then in December of 2022, so just less than 2 years ago, I found an Instagram account called Doc Muscles, which is Dr. Adam Nally's Instagram account. He's a low-carb practitioner in the Phoenix, Arizona area. He also does these carotid Dopplers in his office because this is an issue. It's called arterial sclerosis, which you have here, where the calcium builds up in your arteries and shuts them down. But he put a picture up of a 72-year-old man. Now, I'm just turned 50. Well, I'm not just turned 58. I'm almost ready to turn 59, 2 more months. But anyway, he showed a 72-year-old male who had his left internal, I think it was like 99.7% occluded. And then he showed one with it only being 37% occluded a year later. The man had switched to carnivore after 2 years on keto, and the 2 years on keto was able to reduce the stenosis, which is what they call the buildup, in some of his other arteries, but it hadn't budged that left internal carotid artery. But carnivore did, and I tried to get the specifics. I responded, did he give up seed oils, or did he just eat animal products, or no grains at all, or what? But I could never actually get an answer. But in the meanwhile, I had found Dr. Chris Kenobi from Dallas on YouTube, and he talks a lot about how seed oils, which we commonly call vegetable oils in this country, are really the problem with all, diseases of modern society, or diseases of modern civilization, because it basically messes up the mitochondrial function. And he's got graphs. You can find his videos. I don't need to go into all that. But anyway, in putting that piece of the puzzle with this piece of the puzzle and this piece of the puzzle and this doctor saying that and this doctors that I trust. Why do I trust YouTube doctors more than the one sitting in front of me? I don't know, because they seem to make more sense. And a lot of them do a lot more research, and a lot of them are doing the research that's actually getting published. So then I get to Low Carb Denver in February of 2023. I know most of you think I'm just on this crazy trek to eat a lot of meat, but it has a purpose. But there, Dr. Westman was actually at that conference, and I had taken several of his Keto Made Simple modules. It's the same course, but I did it at least twice. So he had seen me on Zoom videos, and the director of that academy, Liza, and the nutritionist Amy Berger had all interacted with me. Sorry, I keep hitting the mic, and that I know makes a noise on that end. I learned that in a Zoom last week when I kept cutting off the speaker trying to adjust my mic. But anyway, I was able to talk to Dr. Westman, who turns out knows Dr. Nally, and so I'm going to get him to try to write that up. We need more stuff like that in the literature. So anyway, he confirmed that he believed it was possible to reverse stenosis. But Dr. Westman is not a carnivore doctor. He's a keto doctor, but as more and more of us talk to him about carnivore, he is warming to the idea that it's a viable option. This is already into 2023, but where's the little down button? There it is. I've got my notes on the screen, so if I'm not looking at the camera all the time, it's because I'm trying to make sure I get this right. So I had made a video, I guess in December of 2022, about my big three for 2023, which big three was a concept I learned from Dr. Benjamin Hardy, the organizational psychologist. And I had announced in January 2023 that I was basically going a step further and eating the lion diet with the goal of 0 seed oil consumption in 2023, because to see if I could open up this artery, which I did, but we'll get to that in a moment. And my continuing research had shown that seed oils are oxidized when you buy them, and that they actually oxidize the LDL, which is commonly referred to as the bad cholesterol, which I have some concerns about that, but that's where the doctors are indoctrinated. I'm not going to go into the background of that, but I'm just throwing that out there. And so that could have been part of the problem, but cutting out seed oils meant that mayonnaise had to go, fried chicken had to go, onion rings had to go, french fries had to go. So you can imagine I wasn't 100% compliant. And then 2023 happened. In early 2023, my mother started rotating door hospital visits, and by Memorial Day, she was her hospice bed was arriving for in-home care. She passed about middle of July, and I was there in the area to kind of be available and helpful. So, but even if I wasn't, when you're losing a parent, you have a lot of stress, and stress automatically raises your cortisol, which makes it almost impossible to lose weight. And in my case, I packed some on because I purposely didn't stay real strict. When you got a lot going on, you can't always cook the way you want to. So it was a very unfortunate thing, but it didn't completely derail me, and it was my option to derail. It wasn't, it was just a sad year. then after 2 years of this goes back to Dr. Mabry also. Before we parted ways, when I moved away from Texas to be closer to my parents, he told me I needed to find a body by science studio and exercise, or weight lift actually. It's high intensity weightlifting, high intensity training, they call it. Excuse me, I got a sneeze. And it really took me 2 years and the help of somebody in Dr. Chafee's online Patreon group to get me on the right path to where I could find a studio. And I was fortunate to find one about 3 miles from my parents' house. So in June 2023, I purchased 12 trainer-led sessions of BBS. Because I'm on the road so much, I couldn't do a monthly package, which would have been a little bit cheaper. So I just bought 12 sessions, and then I tried to do them once a week. Now, I should probably tell you what Body by Science is. I kind of did already. It's a very low and slow form of weightlifting where you, what they call inroad your muscles in about 3 minutes and have worn them out, and it takes a week to recover. Not that you can't stand up, not that you can't pick up a thing, but the literature has shown that you can do more weightlifting in that week, but it doesn't give you any more benefit. So if you're like me, you say, if I get the most benefit out of doing it once, then why would I do it twice? And it does. It's very effective. You don't even have to change clothes. You can do it in just about anything because you don't sweat. They have the studio set up at like 63 degrees. It's you and the trainer, and they have all this specialized, specially built weight machines to make sure you keep the same load at the beginning, at the end, and all the way back through on any of the exercises. It was absolutely great, and I gained some incredible strength in that time. My body composition is starting to change because I have since found an online guy that teaches it and has Dr. McGuff, who wrote the books. He's kind of got his endorsement. I didn't really like the guy at first, but I ended up buying the course, which was about 2 sessions worth of expense, and now I'm able to do it on my own. So I will continue to do that, and I will continue to develop and get looking closer and closer to Dr. Chafee and Dr. Baker, even though I'm older than both of them. But I believe in it, and those are 2 more good doctors. And like I said, my deal with the vascular surgeon was I do the annual Doppler, carotid Doppler, I wanted to call it radar, but it's not the ultrasound, to make sure my left artery wasn't closing. So and I did it at the hospital when I was in Fort Worth because that's the only place I knew to go. But when I got to Virginia and I wanted to continue, I found Lifeline Screening. So January 2023, I did it in Raleigh, North Carolina. Fortunately, Lifeline Screening is all over the country. And my right internal carotid artery was still 100% fully occluded, i.e. no flow. So then I went again about, what was the beginning of January, because I've been here since the 5th. I think it was the 2nd of January. What's today, the 21st or something? 24th. So it's been 22 days since I had the test, and I got the results a week, 7, 8 days later. So I've been sitting on this ever since then because I wanted to clearly explain what happened and why it happened without bashing the whole medical community. But if I had $1 for every time a medical professional told me, once it's blocked, I wouldn't have to be making videos. I could live off of that. So anyway, then I had this test in January. I got the result. I had actually gone into Knoxville to do some shopping, and I checked my email. I got it. So I called and got a nurse call set up. I had that last Wednesday, so a week ago. For a week, I have known that I do not have a fully occluded internal right carotid artery anymore. The 2024 results showed a trickle of flow, which means I'm not occluded, and the left had not changed since last year, which, well, when I say not changed, they gave me a range of 11 to like 121 centimeters. And my right is at 9 now, but they said 11 to 125 or 100 was good, but they don't tell you where you're at in that. So I'm still in that range on the left, and I'm just below it on the right. And I don't know how to read all that stuff, so that's why I waited for the nurse. I asked Dr. Chafee on a call in Australia, and he confirmed, yep, if it says you got flow, you got flow. You know, of course, there's a possibility of a human error, but now it's been looked at by the doctors at Lifeline Screening, Dr. Chafee, the nurse at Lifeline Screening, and even I sent it off to the doctor at JPS, the PCP that Dr. Mabry replaced. Let me see where I'm at on this. So that, to me, is a huge, big win. So I want to thank Drs. Mabry, Westman, Chafee, and Nally for believing that your body can cure itself through food as medicine, of which I chose low carb and carnivore to do that. Oh, I went the wrong way on this thing. Now I got to find my place again. But that's basically the victory of so many years of doing this. And what am I going to do now? I mean, I've got a little trickle coming through here, which is a win, because 2023 I was not strict. I had a few bumps in the road. But going forward, I'm going to do more of the same and probably stricter, be more strict. I'm going to continue my research on seed oils. I'm also changing my number one priority from weight loss to increasing blood flow in that artery. So overall health is now my top priority, and I am all in as I achieve more in 2024 so I can thrive by being fully alive in 2025. Thank you for your ongoing support, and I don't think I said it earlier, but you can hit this little red, white, and blue circle over here if you want to subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate a comment below of a kind nature. This may cause a lot of people to argue and get upset, but hey, it's an N of one, it's my story, and that's the facts. So let me get back to the screen where I can stop this. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate all of you. Have a great day, and eat some more meat. Thanks. Bye-bye.